Australian meat and fibre producers in the 21st century are facing mounting challenges of economic and environmental sustainability. We're all a bit wary of these win-win situations. We've seen it all before. So come with me on this journey of discovery into what many graziers today are embracing, and that's a balanced combination of grassland management, rotational grazing, fencing to land type, resting pastures and improved waters. Let's just go and see what they're on about.
They're only eating the ice cream and leaving all the veggies behind, like a mob of kids, you know. But now we find that there's a lot more eating grazing.
It's just it's a pleasure to work as a family and to run a family business.
Property goals, all that type, what we'd like to achieve, and when we achieve those things, that makes it all worthwhile.
Seeing the result of putting in the water and putting in the fence, and him concentrating on his section and me concentrating on the cattle, and then both of us sort of looking at marketing the cattle and seeing the end result. So we all have our sections to talk about, so it's not as if it's hard work. We're not stressed and sort of working to our limits anymore. It's given us, opened us up to more free time, and because it's something new for us, so it's quite a challenge and exciting to see that it actually does.
Today, we live in a time of change. All producers realise that there are changes in climate occurring around us today, whether it's through global warming or entering climatic cycles larger than our century or two of records. But today, good, smart producers are using sound methods of utilising pastures effectively while keeping grass and forb species actively growing. Melrose Station, some 50 kilometres from Rockhampton in central Queensland, was taken up in the 1880s. The family of the current owners took possession in 1886. The Mills family carried out the grazing operation in traditional methods by ring-barking the original forest. Bullocks were fattened.
You know, I say, oh, what about that bullock, Uncle Dave? Whoa, give him another year. Of course, he's already 5-year-old, you know. But, you know, when they started wanting cattle at 3-year-old, we had to sort of change our practice a bit.
So to grow young cattle faster, Nev Mills started some pasture improvement and completed the scrub pulling on Melrose to improve production.
It's new. We're still getting used to coming over here every few days instead of only once every 6 weeks. Before we used to look across the paddock and say that was fine, but now when you're in these smaller paddocks and ride around and find the cows, we tend to look down at the ground more than we do across the country. And when you start to look down, that's when you start to see where things are really going wrong.
Yeah, it's really quite exciting actually, because I just think the relationships were a bit strained when we first started out, and then as we continued on and learned new skills and started working better together as a family, it's made a much more healthy and happy environment for everybody, and we love it now. You know, there was a lot of tension early on, but we've sorted out those problems and now life's very enjoyable.
Lex Laurie's grandfather purchased a selection of blocks during the prickly pear years. He was about to walk off the land when the Cactoblastis biological control was released. The rest, as they say,
it was all open grazing, continuous grazing, and when you come and see what is happening now, you can see that most of the droughts were probably man-made. The cattle always used to flog the good country. They just wouldn't go into the other country, and I suppose by force of habit they just remained on the good country and just.
Bill and Rhonda Insley run their cattle breeding operation and Cocos Brahman stud on their property near Gogango in central Queensland. They've found excitement and challenge in their swing to rotational grazing, fencing to land type, and a significant increase in the numbers of waters.
We're seeing a lot of the native grasses come back and a ground cover. We're getting more ground cover in, whereas before the cattle used to have this area picked bare.
It's fantastic to see. I mean, this country was just so flogged out before because the cattle were focusing on one area, and now you've just got this huge diversity. It's just, you know, it's comparing what's happening on the ridge over there to what's happening in here. Yeah. This is just grazing pressure that's actually doing this. It's management.
You should have come along 10 years ago, Mick.
It's a real team. It's a real team job, though, isn't it?
A team effort. Yeah.
But even what's happening here, It's really exciting. The whole action of the grazing and resting creates that system where the insects are working better, the pastures are growing better, the forbs, all the plants are actually working together, and the cattle are actually. The property planning specialist you work with needs to be someone who can actually challenge you, take you outside the areas that you already know about, and help you to actually go that step further. It's a really difficult job sometimes, finding the person that you can actually work with in helping people to actually get the planning of their properties established. It's imperative that you do actually look at the big picture first.
I don't know how strongly you can emphasise it. Doesn't matter what you do. It's just just to get rest in the country. Even with traditional practices, just lock up some country and let it recover. You can see the density of the Mitchell grass down here now, and this is the paddocks that have been recovering because they've had a lot of rest in them. But the only problem now is the location of waters we're still running into, and where we get that feed pattern coming out from the water.
So you're actually managing grass by placing your water where needed, switching it on,
water and wire.
It out.
Mainly water and wire, but probably more so water.
Well, we've had a look at a cross-section of operations across northern Australia. We've listened to the people tell their own stories. I'm not going to persuade you into whether these new innovations are right or wrong for you. But I guess what I've found is the honesty of these people, and I think they're onto something new. Thank you for travelling with us.